But we're going to talk today about the chambers of the soul, the anatomy of the soul. I mean, who thought? I mean, I guess I grew up with Casper and the Friendly Ghost, and I always thought that the soul, somehow from my childhood mind, I transferred the image of our soul as one piece, meaning I am a soul, you're a soul, and we're covered up with this earth suit, so to speak. So I figured, well, okay, the soul looks like the body, except it's in our earth suit covers up the soul. But actually, if you start digging into spirituality, you find out a lot of things that are not mainstream teachings. And this is one of them. If you're interested in knowing more about the chambers of the soul, just like our heart has different chambers that do different things, so the soul has different functions in each chamber. So if this interests you, stick around for the next 30-ish minutes and I'll share some information with you. If you grew up when TVs first filled our living rooms, when the world began to change, this story starts right where you did. In a lavender bedroom, singing Beatles and Olivia Newton-John, a young girl dreamed her way out of chaos. From new wave clubs to blues stages, she chased the music that saved her life. But the music was only part of the journey. There were retreats, miracles, and moments that felt straight out of the scripture. Across oceans in Egypt, she searched for identity, faith, and healing in the most unexpected places. For anyone who's ever felt too sensitive for the world, this memoir understands you. Healing doesn't come overnight, but forgiveness and faith open unexpected doors. Raw, musical, spiritual, unforgettable. Discover sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Coming soon in January 2026. Debra Cohen Books.org. And this is Debra Cohen. Hey, how you doing today? From Clearwater, Florida, where the weather is fine, fine, fine. I'm so glad to be here. I left my snow shovel behind up in Boston. I left my snow shovel at home in Boston, and I don't miss it at all. My Aunt Madge, I think she's like 83, and she still has to shovel her driveway. Oy vavoy. Okay, so let's dig into this because I have a rehearsal to go to next, and I'm sure you have things to do as well. All right, the first three souls we're going to talk about today. The first and lowest soul, if you're thinking about Jacob's ladder, then as we ascend toward the Shamaim, the lowest would be the physical realm. Okay? So the lowest is called the Nefesh, and you might want to take notes because this is pretty complicated, or I should say complex. Some of you might already know this, but it was new for me, and I really struggled to get this into my brain. But these are good things to know when you're communicating with somebody like a Hasidic or a Chabadnik. They might very well already know about Hasidus. Or even, let's see, anyway, I'll remember. Okay, So it's the nephesh. N as in Nancy, E, F as in Frank, E, S as in Sam, H as in Harry. Nephesh. As we have already seen, this soul is associated with the blood and is the life force of a living organism. Above that, climbing up the ladder, above that part of the soul is called the ruach, literally wind or spirit in English. We find this term right at the beginning of the Torah in the book of Bereshit, aka Genesis, chapter 1, verse 2, in reference to the Spirit of God, the Ruach Elohim in Hebrew, and in many other places to refer to the souls of great people, such as Joshua in the book of Numbers 27:18. Above that, and we're climbing up Jacob's ladder, we've got the Nephesh at ground level, climbing up the ladder to the Ruach, and then getting closer to God is the Neshama. Neshama. Literally, it means breath, which we are first introduced to during the creation of Adam, where God breathes a nishmat chaim, or soul of life, into the first civilized man, and you can find that in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. These first three souls, Nephesh, Ruach, and Neshama, often abbreviated as Naran, are spoken widely across Jewish holy texts, from the Tanakh through the Talmud and the Zohar. For example, the Talmud in Nida 31a, it states how there are three partners in the creation of a person. The Father is the primary source of the five white things, meaning the bones, the nerves, nails, brain, and eyeball. The mother is the primary source of the five red things. And if you're watching this video, you can see the colors that are associated with my explanations. The red things are the blood, the skin, flesh, the hair, and the iris. And God gives 10 things, including the ruach and neshama. The nephesh at the bottom presumably goes together with the blood from the mother. The Zohar in 1205b 206a elaborates that the neshama is greater than the ruach, which is greater than the nephesh, and that a person only accesses higher levels of their soul if they are worthy. Sinners do not have access to their neshamas at all. They are just living nephesh like animals. Based on this, the Zohar has a unique perspective on Genesis chapter 7, verses 22 through 23. All in whose nostrils was the breath of the spirit of life, Nishmat Ruach. Whatsoever was in the dry land died. And he blotted out every living substance which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle and creeping thing and fowl of the sky. And they were blotted out from the earth, and Noach alone was left, and they that were with him in the ark. The Zohar sees these two verses as distinct. First, all those people who did merit a ruach and neshama, meaning they weren't completely sinful and didn't deserve to perish in the flood, died of natural causes. Only after this did God blot out all that remained, including animals and people who were so sinful they were essentially like animals, bearing only a nephesh. With these three souls in mind, many aspects of life can be better understood. All right, now I'm going to have a sip of coffee while you digest what I just shared with you. And also remember that the average brain takes 3 repetitions, so make sure you find this archived on my YouTube channel at Jewish Rock Music, and you can replay and absorb it again and as many times as you need. I tend to have to hear things actually more than 3 times in order to remember them. For example, when one is asleep, only the nephesh remains in the body to keep it alive, while the higher souls may migrate. This is why a sleeping body is unconscious and likened to a corpse, and why sometimes dreams can be prophetic, as the higher souls may be accessing information from the heavens while you're sleeping or through interaction with other souls. Another intriguing example is from Ibn Ezra, Rabbi Abraham ben Meir Ibn Ezra, 1089 to 1167, who relates the three souls to 3 major purposes of sexual intercourse, for those of you that only relate in those terms. The first and simplest is for procreation, something that even animals do, and naturally corresponds to the nefesh, the base level of the soul, the ground level, the physical realm. The second is for good health, corresponding to the ruach. And the third is for love and intimacy, fusing the souls of husband and wife, corresponding to the neshama. In addition to Naran, the Zohar sometimes speaks of additional, even higher souls, such as Nefesh of Atzilut and Neshama of Abba and Ima. See Section 2 of the Zohar, 94b. To make sense of these, we must turn to the Arizal. Earning your higher souls. In multiple places, Rabbi Chaim Vital, in 1543 through 1620, the primary disciple of the Arizal, aka Rabbi Isaac Luria, 1534 to 1572, and the one who recorded the bulk of his teachings, described the anatomy of the soul. And see, for example, the first passages of Sha'ar Hagigulim, or Derish Igulim, Veyosher 3 in Etz Chaim. At birth, a baby only contains a full nefesh. As the Torah states, the nefesh is in the blood, as the Torah states, and the Arizal adds that since the liver filters blood and is full of it, it is the organ most associated with the nefesh. By the age of the bat or bar mitzvah, a person now has the ability to fully access their ruach. The organ of the ruach is the heart, also stated in Zohar 3, 29b, Raya Mehemna, associated with one's drives in both inclinations, good and evil, the Yetzer Atov, which is the good, and the Yetzer Ara, which is the evil. Only at age 20 does the neshama become fully available in most cases, the highest of the 3, if you're looking at the rungs of a ladder. The neshama is housed in the brain and is associated with the mind. Today we know how scientifically precise those statements are. For example, at any given time, the liver, which is the body's largest internal organ, contains about 10% of the body's blood volume and filters about a quarter of all the blood each minute. Can you believe that? As well, we know today that the majority of the brain's development ends around age 20, though minor changes continue for at least another decade, if not longer. I think that it functions and develops for your whole life. It therefore isn't surprising that teenagers are so good at making bad decisions. We can also understand why being a teenager is so difficult emotionally, as this is when the ruach is in full force in the heart, and one struggles with their desires and inclinations. Which book is it? Is it Mishle, Proverbs, that says, do not follow the desires of your heart? So is it any wonder that teens are led by that? Reinforcing what was said in the Torah, the Arizal taught that one does not automatically have full access to these souls, but must work on themselves and merit to attain them. Unfortunately, a great many people spend their entire lives stuck in nefesh, living very materialistic and animalistic lives, never overcoming their desires and inclinations, ruach, or achieving any kind of mental greatness from the neshama. The potential is there, though never realized, which is one of the reasons I'm sharing this with you, so you can know that you can merit higher level spiritual thinking if you work at it. But first you have to be aware that it even exists within the soul that you carry. For those who do grow ever higher, they may be able to access even loftier soul levels, the Chaya and Yechida. In the Torah, we see many places where the soul is referred to as Chaya, including right at the start where God breathes the soul into Adam and makes him Lenefesh Chaya, which is in Hebrew, if you look at Genesis 2, verse 7. The Chaya is sometimes described as an aura. It is not housed within the body, but glows outward and plays an important role in the interactions between people. Conversely, some early sources speak of the Chaya as being within the body and serving as its life force. See, for example, Bereshit Rabbah 14, verse 9. Above, it is the highest level of the soul, the Yechida, singular one, which connects a person directly with God. Now you've got my attention. It is like a divine umbilical cord, and one who realizes and senses it may certainly draw through it information from above. The Yechida, too, has scriptural basis. For example, in Psalm 22, verse 21, and Psalm 35, verse 17, where David asked God to save his nefesh and Yechida from danger. Okay, so I think I've given you plenty of information today. Sorry for the late start, but with a newer iMac, the settings were different. So this is again Debra Cohen, and I am in beautiful Clearwater, Florida. I hope that you enjoyed this teaching, that you will study it and learn how to increase knowledge, understanding, discernment, all of those things that God says are accessible to us if only we study and seek God with all of our heart, mind, soul, strength, and being. This is called a story and a song. And anyway, I hope you will check out my music. DebraCohenMusic.com, and my latest memoir that is coming out in print form on January 1st, 2026. You can get the ebook now wherever ebooks are sold. Thank you very much for listening, and I wish you all a happy Hanukkah or a what's the other one? Christmas. Well, there's Happy Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. There's a word that combines Hanukkah with Christmas. Hanumas. Anyway, think about that. There are actually Jews that have Christmas trees in their home. To each his own, I say. All right, can I get an amen? All right, let's change the world of oi to joy. Joy to the world, whatever your beliefs are. Okay, that's enough, and let's try an outro video and see if it actually works today.